In this video, I want to look at Content Delivery Networks, or CDN for short. If you search Google for Content Delivery Network, or CDN, you'll get a couple of different definitions. Over here from the Wikipedia site, we have a content delivery network or content distribution network is a geographically distributed network of proxy servers and their data centers. The goal is to provide high availability and high performance by distributing servers spatially relative to end users. That's all a little bit technical. Let's have a look at this definition. A content delivery network is a system of distributed servers, in other words a network, that deliver pages and other web content to a user based on geographic location of the user, the origin of the web page, and the content delivery server. These are both saying the same thing, really. What you have is a number of servers around the world, each with copies of your website. And if somebody from Australia goes to visit your website, then they will be served the copy of your website that's hosted in Australia, or as close to them as possible. This diagram on Wikipedia sums it up quite nicely. If you have a central server and then people from around the world come and visit your site and you're not using a content delivery network, then all of those computers are all accessing the same computer. It doesn't matter the geographic location. If this person is in Australia and the server is in the United Kingdom, that is going to be the data transfer from the UK to Australia. However, with a CDN, you have these servers distributed around the world with copies of your website on, and that person in Australia can get their copy of your website when they're viewing your website through that Australian proxy server. The one in the UK can get one from a UK proxy server. The one in China can get one from the Chinese proxy server, and so on. Because data doesn't have to travel so far, the big benefit of CDNs is that your web page will load faster in all parts of the world. There are also multiple copies of your website, so if one server was to go down, there are other servers that can serve your website. So not only do you get increased speed, but you get increased reliability. Another feature of CDNs is that you will also get increased security, and we'll come to look a little bit more of that in the next lecture. The CDN that I'm going to talk about in the following lectures is called Cloudflare. Now, I've been using Cloudflare for a number of years as a content delivery network. It's free and it's integrated into a lot of different web hosts, including the one that I recommend. If you set Cloudflare up for your website, you will probably see a speed up in the web page load times. One of the other big advantages, as I mentioned before, is the security of your website, because Cloudflare acts as a proxy between the visitors and your website. It effectively filters out known malicious visitors before they can get to your server or waste your bandwidth. The four main reasons I recommend Cloudflare is, firstly, for the security protection, secondly, to save bandwidth, thirdly, faster page loading and less downtime, and fourthly, it's free. In the next video, we'll have a closer look at Cloudflare. If you log into cPanel and scroll down to Software, you'll see a link to Cloudflare. And you can click on that and it will take you to a control panel where you can set Cloudflare up for your websites within that hosting package. But I don't actually recommend you set Cloudflare up in this manner. And as you can see, I've just clicked on the link to set Cloudflare up and we've got an error message in cPanel. That's not the reason I don't use cPanel for setting Cloudflare up. The reason is that I prefer to go over to the Cloudflare website and use an account over there, and I can manage all of my websites under one account. Everything is centralized, and if I need to do some work on one account, I go into my Cloudflare account and all of my websites are there. I can clear caches, I can stop Cloudflare, I can do whatever I want to do inside the Cloudflare account. I recommend you do the same. I recommend you ignore the Cloudflare in your cPanel and you set Cloudflare up directly on the Cloudflare website. In the previous video, we looked at what a CDN is. You know the benefits of using a CDN and therefore the benefits of using Cloudflare. If you go to the Cloudflare website, you'll see that this service is trusted by some big names online. And you can see a little bit further down a growing global network built for scale. And you can see all of these little dots where their servers are serving up your websites. Keep scrolling down and it tells you the reasons for using CDN that you're already aware of. Performance increase, security, and increase reliability. You'll see down there also a fourth benefit which we probably haven't talked about, and that is the insight into your visitors and bots that are on your website. When you switch on Cloudflare for your site, basically all of the traffic that comes to your site will go through Cloudflare. Cloudflare can optimize the delivery of your content to visitors, making it safer. And also Cloudflare can vet the traffic. If there's traffic which it's not sure of, or traffic that it knows is malicious, then it can stop that traffic from going through. And the more websites that are added to Cloudflare, the more people that join, the more data they're going to have, and the better it's going to be at detecting threats and stopping them getting at your website. So basically, when somebody comes into your site, if they're a normal visitor, Cloudflare will just let them through. If the traffic to your site is a crawler or a bot, Cloudflare may let it through or it may not, depending on whether it's a safe crawler or bot. So for example, if Googlebot comes to your site to try and spider your site so that it can index it and include it in Google, Cloudflare will happily let that bot through. Although malicious bots and bots that are just going to try to spider your site for less safe reasons, they will be stopped. And similarly, known hackers trying to access your site also going through Cloudflare will also be blocked, meaning there's a lot less traffic going into your site, and it reduces the bandwidth load on your server because Cloudflare is doing the first step of filtering out bad traffic. Given all these benefits of Cloudflare and the fact that it's free, there really is no reason why you shouldn't be using it on your site. In fact, I use it on all of my websites to make them faster and safer. The first thing you're going to need to do is go over to Cloudflare and click the sign up link and follow the instructions to get your free account. I am logged into my account and I've got a number of domains already going through Cloudflare, but I want to add a new site. And when I click on the add site link here or the add site button there, then it'll open up the add site screen, which is probably what you're seeing the first time you log in. I'm going to add a website that is a demo site of mine, hasn't been added to Cloudflare yet, and so you type in your site name, click add site, and you'll then be asked for a plan. Which plan do you want to go on to on Cloudflare? Now the only plan you need is the free plan, so select free plan, click on confirm plans, and then Cloudflare will do a quick scan of the DNS records for your website. You can have a read down here, but it should all be correct. Click on continue, and then we're given name servers. It says here that my registrar is Namecheap, so they already know that, and they know that my DNS are set to the ns1stablehost.com, so they're set to point directly at Stablehost web hosting. But I need to change that. I need to change my name server 1 to that and my name server 2 to that. So let me log into Namecheap, and you can see the domain here. I just need to go across to the end and click on manage. And this is where I can edit the domain details. Let me just get rid of that cookie information. What I need to do is go down and change the DNS. And you can see that we go down to where it says name servers, and there are the two DNS that were reported by Cloudflare. The first one I want to copy is name server 1, and I'm going to paste that into the first slot. The second one is that one, name server 2, and I'm going to paste that into the second slot. And once you've done that, click on the little check mark to save. And once it's saved, it can take up to 48 hours before your traffic starts being routed through Cloudflare. There we go. We've just got the notification there. The next step is to go back to Cloudflare, and on this screen, scroll down until you see the button Done, Check Name Servers. And then you're telling Cloudflare basically to go and have a look and see if the name servers are okay. As you can see, Cloudflare is still showing the Stablehost name servers, so they haven't been updated. This is where that 48 hours comes into effect. It says down here it may take up to 24 hours for your register to process this change. I normally find the changes happen within 30 minutes to an hour with Namecheap, but at any point you can go and click on the recheck button down here. And you can see now it's queued to be rechecked. Please check back in a few hours. You'll also be notified by email once the process has been complete. What I'll typically do is try to refresh the page and see if everything has sorted itself out. And it has. Great news, Cloudflare is now protecting your site. And I only waited about 5 minutes before I clicked that refresh button. So as I said, you don't normally have to wait very long, especially if you're using the registrar and web host that I recommend. So that's Cloudflare all set up. In the next video, we're going to have a quick look at the interface, but I just wanted to point something out. The fact that we set up Cloudflare through their website doesn't mean that your cPanel doesn't know about it. Your cPanel does know about it, and if you click the Cloudflare in the software section, it should show you that Cloudflare has been set up for your domain. I can't do it because of an error message that's currently happening inside my cPanel. There you go. But if you want to check that, you should find that your domain in cPanel is shown as running through Cloudflare. To finish off this section on Cloudflare and CDNs in general, I wanted to have a quick look through the interface at Cloudflare because there's a lot of information inside. The domain I've just set up doesn't really have any data yet because it's only just been set up. But if you have more than one domain registered in Cloudflare, you can select them with the little drop down arrow here. So let me change to a different demo site, one that does get a little bit of traffic, though not very much. It's mainly used for demonstration purposes. Okay, this is the harlan.co.uk, and on the overview screen we can actually see some traffic details. So we can see the unique visitors, the total requests, percent cached, so 81% of the served pages were cached, the total data served, and the data that's been cached. There's a link here for View More Analytics, which we can click on, and it basically takes us over to this Analytics tab. But before we go over to there, let's go back to the overview, because there may be a time when you want to remove or pause one of your sites on Cloudflare, and you do that from the overview screen. If you scroll to the bottom, down here on the right, advanced options, you can pause Cloudflare on this site. If you do, don't forget to change your name servers in your registrar to use your older name servers that go directly to your web host or whichever name servers you need to change them for, but the Cloudflare ones won't be working. And you've got the option to remove site from Cloudflare as well. If you decide you no longer want to use the service, then you can click on that to remove it. You will probably also have quick actions here and purge cache. If you make changes to your website in real time and you go to your site and you notice that those changes haven't been updated, it's usually a caching problem. We saw that when we looked at caching plugins. As well as the caching plugins on your site, don't forget Cloudflare has copies of your site around the world on its servers. So if you make changes and you want them to be available immediately, go in and click on the Purge Caches link. You can also get there through this caching screen, which we'll have a look at shortly. If you find that your website is under attack, you can put this switch to on, and then that will show a JavaScript challenge when people visit your site. So if you are alerted to the fact that there is something going on and your site's being attacked, and then you can do that. And similarly, if you want to temporarily not show the site while you're doing development, you can switch on this switch here. Okay, let's go back up to the top and we'll go across to the analytics. And the analytics section has 4 tabs: traffic, security, performance, and DNS. You can set the time for the data, and then you can scroll down and you can see here that we have the requests through Cloudflare, and moving your mouse over the graph will give you data. There we have 298 requests uncached and 623 requests that were cached during that period. I can see what that was in terms of bandwidth. If I have a bandwidth limit on my server, I can see that the total bandwidth in the last 24 hours was 70.77 megabytes, of which 57.7 was cached and 13.07 was not cached. And I can also see unique visitors and have a little graph there of when these unique visitors were coming in. So we had a total of 48 unique visitors. 15 was the maximum number of unique visitors per hour. If we scroll down this page a little bit, we can actually see where the traffic is coming from. And you've got this graph here, which is color-coded to show you the most intense areas of traffic. So I've got up here United States and the UK. And if we keep scrolling down, you can see the actual numbers. So we've got the United States, United Kingdom, then Singapore, Canada, Israel. That's strange, but there we go. If you keep going down a little bit, you'll get some information about stats. They're trying to get you to share this on Facebook. Look, Cloudflare has saved me 90 megabytes in the last month. Well, that's not bad considering this website isn't actually an active site. It's just a temporary site. Cloudflare has also served 7,940 SSL requests in the last month. Now, I use Cloudflare for my SSL certificates, and there are reasons for that. I'm not going to go into the reasons in this course. I do have a separate course completely on creating HTTPS with Cloudflare and the reasons why I use that. But you can see that Cloudflare is responsible for serving my HTTPS versions, and also attacks blocked. Cloudflare has blocked or challenged 2 different requests from hitting my website. Again, this is not a development website, so I wouldn't expect an awful lot of malicious bots trying to get in there, because nobody knows this website exists except students, because it's the only time I use it. If I switch sites to one that gets a little bit of traffic, then this gives me more information. In the last month, Cloudflare has saved me 2 gigabytes of bandwidth on this site. It has served up over 612,000 SSL requests, and it has blocked 192 attempted attacks on my site, or at least malicious requests that have been blocked in the last month. So as you can see, we mentioned that Cloudflare and CDNs in general give you more security. We've just seen it here. If we scroll back up to the top and have a look at the security tab, that will give us more information. And you can see here that we have the number of threats in the last 24 hours. There's been 6 threats on this site. Top country for threats, and top threat type, bad browser. Down here we have a graph which gives us that information and the timings of those threats. We can look for the threats, and there we are in the Ukraine. We can in these maps scroll in a little bit if we want to have a little bit more of a look, but Ukraine and Romania are the main threats for this particular website. There we go, Ukraine and Romania. Top crawler and bots, it gives me the information about who's coming to my site from the various search engines and social media networks, so I can see who it is. And then we have a little bit more information down here to provide a summary. Cloudflare has stopped 6 threats. Traffic served over SSL, we have some details there, and types of threat mitigated bad browser. Those bad browsers, I'm not 100% sure what they are, but I would assume that the threat isn't coming through a normal traditional browser and is probably a bot trying to get backdoor access somehow. If we look on the performance tab, let's have a look at that, and you can see that we get some more details here. Overall, in the last 24 hours, we had 20% of bandwidth saved, which is a good thing. If we look at the content type breakdown, this will tell us what type of content is being served on our site, and this one, 45% of requests is from HTML. Let's scroll back up and have a look at the DNS. You're not going to get an awful lot of information from this. This is queries by response codes, and you can sort of click on little bits to get a little bit more information, but it's not particularly useful for our purposes. Let's go, and I'm going to switch back to the HAL Unlimited site and have a look at the DNS tab, and this is where your DNS records are. If you need to go in and add or edit or modify DNS records, you can do them in here if you know how to do it. It's beyond the scope of this course to teach you how to do that, but your web host may tell you that you need to update some record somewhere, and they can help guide you through it, but this is where you can do that. The next tab across the top is the crypto tab, and this is where you can set up SSL certificates for your website. In other words, making your site HTTPS. We've seen in the course how you can use Let's Encrypt to do that. If your web host does not have any sort of deal to use Let's Encrypt, then this would be another option for you, Cloudflare. My host actually does allow Let's Encrypt, but for most of my sites I actually use Cloudflare because of the extra benefits of going through a CDN. The other benefit of using Cloudflare for CDN is that the origin certificates that you upload to your server are for 15 years, so they don't have to keep being renewed every few months. I'm not going to go into any more detail on that because setting up HTTPS with Cloudflare isn't part of this course. Let's have a look at the next tab, and that is Firewall. And you can see that this site, there was a firewall action taken 4 days ago, and location France, and it was blocked. I can get more details of that block by clicking the link, and I can see what was going on. Anytime that you have the firewall taking action, you will see them added to this list. There is a section managed rules, but that is only in a pro version. And then we have firewall rules that if you know what you're doing, you can set some firewall rules even with the free version. And then you have tools that allow you to set IP access rules. And you can see down here that these IP addresses have been set to whitelist, so they will always be allowed into my site. The next tab I want to have a look at is the caching page, and we saw that over on the overview page there were some quick start links, and one of them was to purge the cache. On the caching tab you can also custom purge, so you can say what it is you want to purge, or you can purge everything. And we've got a few more items down there. So browser cache expiration, the browser cache will be expired after 4 hours, and a few more details down there. The final thing I want to have a look at is page rules, because even the free version allows you to create, is it 3? Yes, 3 page rules for your website. I'm not going to go into setting up page rules. If you want to learn more about it, then go and learn more about page rules in Cloudflare. There's plenty of documentation online to do that. So that's a quick overview of the interface for Cloudflare. At the moment, you're probably seeing something like that on the overview screen, but give it some time, give it some allow it to collect some data on your website, and this will all start to populate, and then you'll get a lot of information, or should I say insight, about the visitors and traffic to your website.